and welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis for 21st and 22nd July 2022. Now, as you know, there was no thorough newspaper analysis for 21st July, so we will be integrating the editorials, the news updates, and the legal news for 21st with 22nd and presenting it to you in today's rendition of the thorough newspaper analysis. So moving forward, we have Welcome Relief, which is an editorial which has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it deals with the interim grant of bail to Mohammad Zubair, who is the co-founder of Alt News. For the second and third segment, as you know, we will have the news update and the legal news, which are a part of LawSikho's initiative to keep the readers and students updated with the current affairs that is happening in and around of India. Now, this will give you an edge when you sit for your competitive exams, whether they be the IBPS SO or SEBI Grade A or your Judiciary prelims. Now, moving on to the first editorial, Welcome Relief. It talks about the granting of interim bail to Mohammad Zubair, who is the co-founder of the fact-checking organization Alt News. Now, the grant of this interim bail has given great relief to the general mass who were worried that this is yet another case of the government trying to shut down another activist or actor or comedian, as the past few experiences have led us to believe. However, this sign that it was finally the Supreme Court which went forward and granted him the interim bail. And this sign is worrying, since it seems that only the apex court is the one place which is catering to our personal liberty and is there to protect our personal liberty. Somehow, the lower courts in our Indian judicial framework have failed to work on this aspect. So a brief rundown of the facts show that he was arrested for tweets. Some of them were around 4 to 5 years old. And there were multiple charges for the same offense, one that puts personal liberty and freedom of expression to threat. Further, it was amply clear that his convictions were solely driven by communal intentions. So the Supreme Court has went forward, and although they did not quash the charges against him, but the Supreme Court went forward and said that the charges against him can be clubbed and the Delhi police is to investigate into this. Now, the SC condemned the act of filing countless FIRs on the same offense because the SC opined that this would cause the alleged individual to face endless rounds of proceedings before various courts across the country. Further, in times when courts are known to be giving gag orders as a condition of bail, the Supreme Court went forward and held that Zubair is free to tweet at all public forums because any tweet or any statement given in a public fora is always under the public scrutiny for transgression of law, and therefore it would not make any sense to stop Zubair from using his freedom of speech and expression. Now, this overall mechanism of state-backed majoritarianism faced stiff blockade at the hands of the Supreme Court, which is worrying because the lower courts have failed to prevail on this aspect. Now, with this, we will be moving forward to the news updates for today. Firstly, Draupadi Murmu won the presidential election. NDA's candidate Draupadi Murmu has been declared to be the next president of India. She has emerged victorious against Yashwant Sinha. Murmu belongs to the tribal community in Orissa and has become the first Adivasi woman and the second woman to occupy the country's top constitutional post. Secondly, we have the Innovation Index. Karnataka has bagged the top rank in Niti Ayog's India Innovation Index 2022, which determines innovation capacities and ecosystems at the subnational level. For the third news update today, we have Parachuting World Cup, India record best ever finish. A Paralympic medalist Shingraj Adhana won 2 golds on the final day as India produced their best ever performance at the Parachuting World Cup, finishing with 10 medals here. Fourthly, Ranil Wickremesinghe elected as the president of Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan MPs have elected Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the country's new president, despite his unpopularity with the public. Mr. Wickremesinghe faces the task of leading the country out of its economic collapse and restoring order after months of mass protest. Fifth, we have IIT Bangalore treat tech to help BMC treat sewage in nalas on spot. Now, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Company has tied up with the Indian Institute of Expertise for in situ remedy of sewage in nalas within the metropolis. This pilot challenge will stop coastal air pollution resulting from sewage from 25 nalas in Bandra, Andheri, Gurgaon, Kandivali, Borivali, and Dahisar from flowing untreated into the oceans or creeks. Next up, we have Gaganyaan abort mission this year, solar lunar missions in 2023. The Indian Space Research Organization has set new deadlines for major missions, with its first solar mission and third lunar mission set to take place in the first quarter of next year, 2023. The space agency's third scientific mission scheduled for next year is the Space Observatory ExpoSat, designed to study cosmic X-rays. We also have Greece bans sex-normalizing surgeries on intersex babies as the seventh news update for today. Now, Greece's parliament has banned sex-normalizing surgeries on babies born intersex with atypical chromosomes that affect their bodies in a way that does not fit with the normative definitions of male or female. For the eighth update today, we have ISSF Shooting World Cup 2022 medals tally. India finishes on top of countrywide standings. The Indian men's 25-meter rapid-fire pistol team, comprising Anish Bhanwala, Vijayveer Sidhu, and Samir, won the silver medal on the last day of the ISSF World Cup Changwon 2022 in South Korea. The medal helped India retain the top spot on the medals table with 5 gold, 6 silver medals, and 4 bronzes. South Korea managed just 1 bronze on the final day and finished with 4 gold, 5 silver, and 3 bronze medals and clinched the second position. For legal updates, we have Supreme Court allows OBC quota in remaining local body elections in Maharashtra and directs the SEC to notify elections in 2 weeks. So the apex court in the case of Rahul Ramesh Wagh versus the state of Maharashtra, which had been contesting the OBC quota in the local body elections for quite some time now, has directed the Maharashtra Election Commission to notify the elections in 2 weeks after it went forward and allowed the OBC quota in the local body elections. Secondly, we have Section 125 of CrPC meant for immediate support, and courts cannot be hyper-technical in their approach. Now, the Aurangabad bench of the Bombay High Court in the case of Kuldeep second bail versus the state of UP held while deciding on a matter that the courts could not get too technical while dealing with matters under the proviso of Section 125 of CrPC. And this was specifically because the entire intention of this proviso is for immediate support. And being too hyper-technical in its approach, the court would delay the implementation of the proviso, which would technically dampen the sole intention with which this proviso was created. Thirdly, we have denying unmarried women the right to safe abortion violates her personal autonomy and freedom. Now, the Supreme Court in the case of X versus the Principal Secretary Health and Family Welfare Department stated that the unmarried woman with a 24 weeks old fetus would be able to have an abortion, and stated that the Delhi High Court had a rather restrictive interpretation of the clauses under Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. Now, if you remember, we had covered this previously that the Delhi High Court, in this specific case, when the matter was in front of the court, had held that there was no such provision under the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which allowed an unmarried woman to abort her fetus after 20 weeks if she had been pregnant because of a consensual relationship. So the Supreme Court went forward and said that this was not the case and the woman could get abortion under the clauses of Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. For the fourth legal update today, we have challenge to presidential election can be heard exclusively by the Supreme Court. So the Delhi High Court in the case of Satvir Singh versus Union of India and another stated that Section 14.2 of the Presidential and Vice Presidential Elections Act 1925 conferred exclusive jurisdiction in these matters to the Supreme Court, and hence the Delhi High Court was not the right place for the person to appeal. So this was all for today. For free study materials and TNA PDF slides, please join our Telegram channel. You can find the link in the description, or you can also scan the barcode that's given on the screen. You can also follow us on our Instagram channels, LawSikho Judiciary, LawSikho CLAT Prep, and UGCnet_LawSikho. For any further information, please feel free to visit www.lawsikho.com. Thank you.